Hey y'all, welcome to the Fashion Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Hope Anusium, and we are back. And I'm so excited for this episode because we have a new guest, but we have some familiar faces that you already are familiar with. We have Gani and Val, our stylists, and we have a special guest designer, and we're so excited to dive into her story. I was kind of doing a little bit of research, and she's been in Elle, Paris Fashion Week, designing for major global platforms. So we're gonna get into our special guest, Reia Janay, and her brand is Allure by Reia. And welcome to the Fashion Lounge podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Listen, the ladies look good, y'all. This is not a filter. This is not fake. They look amazing. I'm just so honored to be here and to be your special guest, and I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Reia, tell us a little bit about who you are, what's your brand about, and how'd you get started?
Yes, so again, I'm Reia, the owner and designer of Allure by Reia, or ABR. And I actually got started when I was 17. It really started before that. As a kid, I used to draw little dolls and put clothes on them, cut them back, fold them back. And then I got started with really like sustainability before sustainability was a thing. So doing jewelry with just things that I had around the house and kind of making like custom pieces. So I would like bejeweled jackets and shoes, really whatever I can get my hands on. My brother, he laughs at me and he's like, I remember when you stole my army jacket and you bedazzled it. And then he had to go to like training the next day and it was like, okay, it's all bejeweled, right? So from there, I always knew that like I was bigger than my small town. Like it's
Where
not
you from?
Originally from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
Yes, so a very
big things coming out.
yeah, yes. Honorary peach now, but growing up in a rural area, I think that people don't really look at women from the South as having something to say when it comes to fashion, right? So I was a little like, apprehensive about, pursuing fashion full time. So when I was 17, I started looking to fashion schools. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew that was going to be my journey. So I just applied for Art Institute of Atlanta. I wanted to originally go to New York, but I was like, girl, you cannot afford to be in New York, Bookie. Let's be sensible.
You gonna be eating ramen noodles.
Yes, right?
In a box,
right? Hello? She'll tell you. So from there, I was like, okay, what about Atlanta? I like Atlanta. It's like this black mecca. It has entrepreneurs. I was like, okay, let me apply. So went to fashion school, went through a lot of bumps, right? So probably like 2 semesters into school, I ran out of my scholarship, had to start working miscellaneous jobs to try to put myself through fashion. And I was really at that point, like this time I was taking buses, I was taking, the train, and I was like, what am I doing? Like I moved all the way from Arkansas to Atlanta and I'm taking the bus and the train. And I was like having to tell myself throughout the journey, like, it's gonna be worth it in the end. So graduated from college, fashion design school, class of 2019. And, after that, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And then someone reached out to me. Then I had my collaboration with Shein. I know there's a lot of controversy
that's
with
major,
Shein.
No, that's major. That's major. That's major.
Let's run
Right.
Run it
Like,
back,
you
run it
just
back.
gonna pass through that?
No.
Okay, let's dive into Shein.
Yeah.
And yes, I do understand how people
It's
have
controversy for sure.
They have thoughts about that.
Yes, they do.
Even around sustainability. I know you
Yes.
mentioned like you're big on sustainability as well, but like two things can be true.
Yes.
And I've seen Shein, like the platform, help to propel
It's amazing.
emerging designers and getting their brands out.
They're one of the only, let's be real, they're one of the only fashion brands that are actually open to working with, emerging designers. And so they gave me the opportunity to have my pieces be shown to women internationally.
Yeah.
Women in Mexico, women in Paris, women in Africa. I would have never had that platform without Shein. So I understand there's a lot of bad, but I think Shein also should be celebrated in the point of like, hey, this is the only people who are willing to do your marketing, handle manufacture. So the designer can just be in that space of being creative. So shout out to Shein, and she's actually wearing one of my Shein pieces. Yes. This is my collab. So this is Archive
by Reia?
Yes, she is wearing Archive Shein X Allure by Reia.
It looks good. I mean, it's comfortable. The leather is good quality.
I think the colors is really given.
Beautiful.
I love the colors. I love how you styled it. Yeah, you
Yes.
look good, girl.
I had a little help.
The two stylists. So yeah, that was my first kind of like introduction into the real world of being a fashion designer after fashion school. And from there, it really just went on. And I was like, okay, I've been with Shein. I need to step out and I need to see what I can do as a solo designer. And that was a really hard journey, kind of like finding my voice as a designer, the backing that I needed, like really looking at, can I really financially do a fashion line on the scale that I want it to be, right?
And I can only imagine you probably had some moments where you're just like, you know what, I think this is it. Like, I'm not going to move forward. There's, you know, all the doors that I would assume be opening for me are closing in front of me. So how do I push through that? How did you push through that?
Girl, well, big shout out to God.
Right, that part. Always.
And then just family, just these people who had watched my journey from a young girl all the way. And just listening to my family just saying like, oh, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you.
Words of encouragement.
And me hearing that from them, like, oh, there are people that have seen my journey. There are people who are watching me. People that I don't even know are watching me would DM me and say, hey, you know, your clothes are so beautiful. You inspire me to keep going. You inspire me. So that's what really just got me through. Like my clients, my family, and God, for sure.
Yeah. That's why I love the Fashion Lounge podcast, because we talk about fashion, faith, lifestyle, and culture.
All of that. Yes. I love that.
You know, people, I mean, like, yes, you have a lot of accolades, and I will always celebrate that. But, like, people tend to just say that, period. And they don't talk about, like, what it really takes. Because me and my sisters, we started a clothing line, and we did it for about 7 years. And we just had a passion for fashion. But we didn't know anything about, you know, the technical part of the industry, how to produce. So I was like,
manufacturers.
I was going to China, back and forth to New York, like, just trying to figure it out.
It's hard.
It's a hard industry to navigate.
So hard.
And so to be able to like start and be on a platform like Shein, like that is major kudos.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and then having the ability to continue to push and finding your voice, because I think that's key. Nowadays, you know, post-pandemic, like there's a boutique and there's something for everything, right? But like, I think in order to stand out, you have to have a unique point of view. You have to know who your customer is. You have to speak their language. To like really allow your brand to stand out. So I love how you have even curated that story for yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's important, you talked about not only being a designer, but any one of us who are in the entrepreneurial world, having that mindset of just that unwillingness to give up.
Right.
Okay,
because it gets hard.
It
gets hard.
If you want an easy career, don't choose fashion.
It is not
everybody
for the weak. You literally have to get yourself up, talk yourself up, talk to yourself in the mirror, use those affirmations, manifest whatever it is that you are affirming, and push through. Because you don't, I think, you know, for those of my friends that are in the, you know, corporate world, you have coworkers, you know, you can chat, you can, you know, have these different conversations with them, but it's a lonely world out here for entrepreneurs.
So
unless you find someone who's like-minded like you, you know, in the entrepreneur space and be able to bond and just, you know.
Yeah, and I have to add to that, you have to believe in your own dreams.
Yes.
If you don't believe in your dreams, how do you convince someone else to believe in your dreams?
Absolutely.
So that's very key.
That's so key. I agree with that. And I will say that when it comes to fashion, you cannot do it for just the money, because fashion is that. Fashion is the industry.
Say that again, please.
It can't be about the money. It has to be about the passion. Like, you really have to be passionate about fashion to excel, in my opinion. So, the journey to find my voice, to see, to test things with different manufacturers, that was a journey. It took me probably about 3 years. And in my mind, I'm like, are people forgetting about me? Do I need to put something out to stay relevant? Like,
I feel like what people don't talk about that I had to learn is, and I was kind of like you, like, again, my sister, she was more of the designer. I did more of the production and operations. So she would design and I would figure like, how do we make it? How do we produce it? And that was a journey. It took me like a year or so to find a manufacturer. And then when we wanted to scale, they couldn't keep up. And at the time, I was doing my MBA, final semester during midterms, and this happened. And we were just about to roll out a new line for New York. And I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't solve this problem right now because I got too much on my plate. It took me a year to find these people. And then the challenge is once you do produce a line, there's being able to have a sustainable brand.
Yes.
And then 2, what people don't realize is marketing.
Oh,
like,
my God.
How do we actually get it into the hands
Yeah.
of like your customer?
Yes.
And how do they
Yes.
find you?
And you
Right?
have to
Like,
do pop-up shops. Maybe
Yes.
you have to really go and do the
work
research.
with stylists. There's a lot
collaboration.
But I'll admit though, isn't that, so that's a question for you. Is it better now with social media, you think, with the whole marketing? What are your thoughts?
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
I think that social media works very well for fashion brands.
okay.
But I still feel like there is a disconnect with people like me who are sustainable and really trying to get people to understand what sustainability is and also being an exclusive designer, right? I'm a ready to wear, but a lot of my clients will want something that's a one-on-one. And also me as a artist, I like to look at my designs as art pieces, right?
Of course,
So I
of
don't
course.
want to design I don't want
Multiple.
to, I don't want to do bulk. I want to
Yeah.
do, I feel like this piece is just amazing for
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Like
Unique
this is a
pieces,
special
right.
piece, an exclusive piece for just you, right?
Yeah,
And that's the type of designer that I felt like, but it took a long time to get there, right? And to be okay with, okay, maybe I'm not selling 40 pieces.
Right.
Yes.
But I'm selling one piece.
Quality
and
over
this
quantity.
is, quality over quantity. And so that was a long journey. And then I said to myself, I want to do Paris Fashion Week. I was like, that is for me, I make all these goals for myself. And
Yes.
sometimes I'm like, girl, where do you
Now,
get the audacity
But,
to even
no.
dream like
Let's
this?
have the audacity.
yeah.
But
yeah.
if you're not scared of your dreams, then they're not big enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true.
I
I need to hear that.
love
I heard that, girl. You get a little, what the
I
kids doing
love
these
Right,
days?
that.
you're clocking it.
The clock.
I love that.
Good question. When you
You have to
clocking
go
it?
crazy
Is it
sometimes.
middle finger or
I think it's this one,
Every
right?
all
Oh, wait.
kinds of fingers.
It's this.
I just do this?
I don't know what these young kids be doing.
Right.
I be doing it with them.
Damn.
But no,
But yeah,
seriously.
dreaming big. No, that's a big.
That's
That's
a big
like,
one.
I read real quick Steve Harvey's Jump, his book. And honestly, I mean, there was so much. He really just talked about, like, he had, like, one time he had $150 in his pocket, but he had to go to some other state and he needed to, or he didn't have $150. He needed $150 to get there. Whatever it was, the point is, it was like an uphill battle for him.
Yes.
And what I got from the entire book, right? The message I got was, and what he wrote there too is like, you can jump 9 times.
Yes.
But that 10th time
That's it.
that you jump, I mean,
That's
look
it.
at him. He's so successful.
Yes.
I love that.
Because you think about it, like, well, what is Steve Harvey different from me? Like, why he gets
It's
to be
consistency.
successful?
It's nothing but
Yes.
consistency.
And I'm here, and
That's
that's
it.
what, like, sometimes
Consistency.
that keeps me going because I'm just like, okay, we are all humans here, right? But we need to make sure, like, we have that consistency, that drive. You can't teach anybody that.
No.
You can't teach drive.
No.
I always say, like, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
Because,
It's not.
like, it's gonna challenge you, like, with everything that you have. So you got to be resilient. It's gonna challenge your whole
And it breaks
psyche.
you down.
Yes.
You're like, am I crazy for
Right.
like still trying to pursue this? There's things I still want to do that I haven't been able to do for one reason or the other. It's not for the lack of trying, for one.
Right.
Sometimes like you're trying and you're running into those doors
closed
Every
doors.
single time.
Or you
or
jump and
people
you
falling off.
Yep.
And it's like you gotta be crazy enough. If it wasn't like even creating Fashion Row, it was really out of my experience of trying to build a brand at the time, fashion in Atlanta, which I do want to talk about, like, building a fashion brand in Atlanta, like that wasn't a thing, and I'm like, we had to put our dreams on the shelf. I pretty much had to close the business because just lack of access to resources, people, connections. And I'm just like, people shouldn't have to put their dreams on hold or lose their dreams because they don't have accessibility to the right resources or people. And so how do we make that community smaller? And so I created Fashion World Collective.
I love that.
For being able to do that, make those connections. But like if it wasn't that God downloaded that dream to me, it wasn't like something I was dreaming of, and I didn't want to do fashion ever again because I'm like, that was my retirement plan.
Right.
I didn't realize
it burns
how
you.
emotionally connected I was after that. When I put it on pause, I'm like, I'm in the therapist room, like, and but if it wasn't that God downloaded that vision.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, real quick. Say that again. Why? Because what I've learned in being in different spaces and being an entrepreneur is that God gave you an idea. He gave you an idea. He gave
talent and a
and
vision.
we could all say that we want to be stylists or designers, right?
That's not
but
what-
how you're going to be a designer, how you're going to be a designer, is going to be different.
Your uniqueness.
It's the uniqueness of who you are. He gave you that idea, and
God
it's
is
your
only
job to
giving
now
you that.
act.
Everyone
on
has
it.
that. You just have to find it.
That's it. He gave you an idea. That's why you
And I
can't
think
let
that's
it go.
So key, especially in an industry so big as fashion,
Yeah.
there's competition.
Yes.
Like imposter syndrome for me was real.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like,
Same.
how do you compete? How do you have your unique voice
Yeah.
when other people, you see other people doing the same thing? And I'm like, I'm constantly focused on like, how can I carve out my own lane?
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to compete.
No.
right?
No.
Like the way that God has given it to me, I have to be crazy enough to believe that He's going to do
that's
it.
it.
So I'm like, I
Absolutely.
didn't dream this up, so it's up to you
Right.
to do it.
That's
You
it.
know, and so being able to pursue a vision at all costs,
Yeah.
I think that's what sets people apart. And when they become that overnight success at 10 years, or 11 or 12
Right.
years, like people just witness them, but it was the consistency that they
It
were
was the
along the way.
consistency of the journey for sure. So I said, okay, when I come back, I want to come back in a serious way. So I'm going to do Paris Fashion Week. So I'm like, okay, the money. What am I going to do? Y'all, I have been at Emory. So this is what I didn't tell y'all. While all of this is happening with Shein and all of this, I'm still working a corporate job.
That part.
Right? I'm still
Because
working
we gotta
this
eat.
9 to 5
Right, yeah.
from
Gotta
in business, right? Doing finance by day and fashion. And then I said to myself, it's either now or never. So I quit.
Ugh.
I withdrew my 401k
Yeah.
and I put it into a line and I put it into Paris. And I remember the day before we got there, my dress was just falling apart. I had the worst anxiety attack. Like I had to call my sister and she had to like talk me down. It's because I'm putting everything into this, right? Like it's a make it or break it for me at this point. And I had to really say to myself, like, if Paris doesn't give you exactly what you want and that
Right.
momentum, what are you prepared to do?
Yeah.
Like, what is the next step? So I'm thinking about Paris. I'm excited about it, but I'm also thinking about reality, right?
Yeah.
And is this gonna sell? And am I making the wrong decision? All of that was going through my head right before Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
But I was just like, girl, you got this.
Yes.
You've been doing this since you were 17
Yes.
years
Oh,
old.
yes.
Like, if not now, then when?
I love it.
Right? So, Paris Fashion Week was just amazing.
I want to go to Paris Fashion Week one day.
Oh,
but
of course.
I think I just need to go. Like, I just want to enjoy all of the schmoozing.
Right.
Yes.
Not as a
Yes.
stylist.
Like,
just as,
I don't want to. I don't think I want to work.
That's all I know.
I mean, right? I don't know if I want to work.
No, you don't want to
person.
work. You
I
just
want
want to
to enjoy,
partake,
Yes.
Perry, and be
enjoy.
Parisian and indulge in
All
the
of the
culture.
above, all of
and
the
I
above.
got to do that, but I also, me and you talked, right?
Yeah.
About my experience, and I thought to myself, like, I was walking and I was seeing these big fashion houses, and I was like, these fashion houses have been here since like 1820.
Yeah. Let's put it in perspective.
18
Yeah.
and backed by major corporations.
Yeah.
This is what people don't know. Nobody's taking their personal 401k starting businesses. So I think that's another side of fashion, the financial literacy that has to happen.
Yeah.
And also funding for fashion, right?
Yeah.
You see funding for tech and all of these other things. Where is the funding for fashion?
Yeah.
Fashion is still a part of who we are as people, our identities. It gives people confidence, right? There should be funding for there. But to go back to the story, because we could talk all day about that. I said to her, that was the first time I said to myself, why am I trying to have a seat at this table? I don't fit in here.
In Paris.
And why am I just in the big fashion houses?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Why am I chasing this? Right? And I'm like, it's okay to be in my lane. It's okay to be a emerging designer. It's okay to do, one or two pieces and take a break and come back when I feel creative. And she had to talk me through that. Like, and a lot of people ask me why, but I felt like for me, I just had that for me, that was making it. Oh, if you go to Paris Fashion Week, you make it.
Yeah, but I think, sorry to cut you off, I think that's for a lot of people, depending on whatever lane you are, you have like that North Star, right? You have that goal. You're like, oh no, I need to be there. This is what I need to do. But I think what that teaches you as you're going through your journey, trying to reach this North Star here, you now find yourself, right? You now become to see like, this is the type of person I am. This is what I want. So you're meant to, from the beginning, yes, you're supposed to probably that's probably like, your guide, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, Reia have figured out the type of designer she wants to be, the type of clients that she wants, who she wants to service, and it may not be that North Star anymore.
And being okay with that, right?
And
saying
being
that it's enough.
okay with
I
that.
think for me, the real reason was I didn't feel like it would be enough, right? Like I felt like for me to be taken serious, outside of just being a Black female designer, I just want to be seen as a designer, right? And sitting at the highest table of fashion. I could have did New York, but I said everybody does New York. Like I wanna jump over that and go to where it all starts, right? It was a beautiful thing, and I learned so much, and I met so many people. And then there's the feature in Elle magazine.
We just drop it all in here. Like,
but
by the way.
By the way, Elle magazine. But again, it's like, I don't feel like I did all of this stuff. I still feel like that girl from Little Rock, Arkansas. And I think people see me a certain way, and I'm still taken back by it. Because I'm just like...
It's surreal. Yeah.
So even though it's an evolution, what does making it look like for you right now?
Good question.
Girl, finances.
Talk about it.
I wanted all the accolades at first, but now I'm like, okay, is this a pet project, or is this a business?
Is this a non-for-profit?
I've seen a lot of designers, a lot of brands that, they're out there, they are visible, they are, have, corporate partners or whatever. And everyone still has the same challenge, right? Because even to scale in fashion requires a significant amount of investment.
Yes.
What people don't know is like the fashion supply chain is costly. From sourcing to shipping to production to shipping to retailing to shipping. Like it's a very exhaustive process and a very, expensive process.
Costly.
So like I've seen big time designers like that have kind of passed beyond emerging, and they're like in that growth space.
Absolutely.
They all have this, like everybody still has the same needs, the same desires. Like how can I move, like get my brand to the next level? Like it's all the same. So what does that like accessibility look like? What are those things that you would need, or even like what you think emerging brands or designers need to like get to that next level beyond like, finances and stuff like that?
I think that it also needs the support of the community, but I think for me, I was chasing international recognition.
Okay.
But having local recognition, I think people sleep on that a lot. But when they talk about you, when you describe yourself, you know, your bio is I'm an Atlanta designer.
Yeah.
I'm a New York designer. You say that first, right? So having a community within your wherever you are, whether that's Atlanta, you know, Lagos, wherever it is, Arkansas, having that, because I've seen so many people really become successful,
Yeah.
not because of the big accolades, because they have a local presence.
This is
And that's okay.
This is true. I love
Right?
that. This was a hot topic in another conversation, but like, what are your thoughts on fashion in Atlanta, like in the Atlanta scene?
I think that we was on a conversation that all for like
How much time we got?
Okay, so I'll make this quick. I think that the cliquish, the mean kid, that attitude has to go, right?
Okay.
We need to be able to collaborate with each other.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be such a shush, you know, secret society.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be that, because it's so much space.
Yeah.
It's, you know, for everybody to win. And to collaborate. But it's like everybody is very cliquish, and it's so hard to find a community here.
Yeah, I would say I think, you know, you're an implant, Val and I are implants. Hope you
I'm native to Atlanta.
you a native
Georgia
but
Peach.
I've seen
Okay, so I like
Georgia
that.
I've seen it all.
So what I will say, being implants, you know, yes, I think I experienced the cliquish, you know, type of attitude. I will say, and I think we had this conversation, Reia, that, you know, sometimes I just show up and make myself be seen until you can, you know, acknowledge me. And I think that's what I did. I think now I'm in spaces where, I mean, I still think that there's still like a missing factor, and there's like a disconnect with some of us, especially that, you know, that are, you know, stylists or just in the fashion industry in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like I've made some strides since I moved here since 2020. But that's because my work is showing for it, right? And then I'm coming in and I'm saying, yeah, well, yeah. You know, every time I say, oh, yeah, Gani the stylist, yeah. You remember? Yeah, I styled, yeah, I came over. And
Consistency. Consistency.
so when you're in constantly in their face, they have no choice but to see you and receive you.
I mean, like the Atlanta fashion scene is kind of, I mean, it's small. I mean, and I say that by when I was re-entering the scene back in like 2021, and there's a lot of new players, and I'm like, people don't know me, what I can do, or what, you know, I just had to show up.
But where are we showing up to? That's what I'm saying. Where is the space here in Atlanta for the fashionistas? Like, I don't, what area are we hanging out in?
You're right, because
Right.
we saw each other
What are
at
the events?
at the stylist Jay Boland's event when he was in Atlanta.
So there are events.
Once you go into the event scene, like you're gonna hear more. Like for me, I started out when I launched Fashion Row Collective. It was in October, so October's like fashion month in Atlanta. So there was Atlanta Fashion Week, there was Atlanta Sustainable Fashion Week. And just being in the scene and getting to know people. Again, and just showing up. And the more you show up, someone else is going to invite you to something. You're going to meet this designer. They're going to invite you to something.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And then we used to also
true.
like curate experiences and events as well, because that was the goal. Like, how do people find each other?
That's what I've
Okay,
seen.
so
A lot of
Q1,
people.
we are curating
We said that.
a shop and see, a sip and fashion,
We
something.
said that.
Let's do something.
We said we were
I think
doing
we
that.
should.
Show up.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Maybe you can even host.
Yeah.
Right.
If you feel,
We could do that.
Right.
You know?
If
She
you
just she want to
feel-
show up and take all the content and then
content now.
come and
yes,
do it
do
on Fashion
that.
Lounge.
Okay, we'll do
from,
that.
Like, all the planning and events that we did. Like one year I
Okay.
did like 6 events, and it was like back to back.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a
Yeah,
lot.
I can
So I'm
only
like, I'm a little
imagine.
triggered.
Yeah. I would love to have a fashion. No, I would definitely love to have a
too.
fashion conversation and do. It doesn't have to be anything big. Even like a just
Just an
2-3 hour
open
event,
forum,
and
yeah.
just open forum, and then just
Yeah.
even invite
Talk
people.
about it.
Invite
I love
like
that.
who are the people struggling?
No, it
you
could
know,
be like
in
the
fashion
town
in
hall.
Atlanta.
You know how they have the
It
town
doesn't have to
hall.
be anything elaborate. I think just
Something
No.
cute. Let's have drinks.
cute.
You
I
know,
agree.
you can showcase your pieces. Maybe it could be a
Right.
pop-up.
Network.
I have other
But also
designers
bring
that are interested in that too.
investors
Yeah.
and stylists, because I want to talk about it. I know we don't have long, but now I see the importance of working with stylists. Because for me, I have so many pieces, right? But if it's not getting on the right
it's
client,
visibility.
then it's just on the rack or in the closet.
Right.
So working with the stylist, but also having that open dialogue of like, what are your clients looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where strategic partnerships come in and collaborate. A lot of people don't want to do the collaborations and
Well, too bad for them.
You have to do it strategically.
Right. Yes.
You bring a value to me, I bring a value to you.
Right.
That is what's important.
Even though I don't like to do events, I just thought
Yes.
this could be a good idea.
Okay.
We'll discuss offline, but
Yeah.
I think like those, like even if you had like an event of designers and stylists, because I honestly never really thought about that combination.
I didn't either.
I thought about stylists being critical to the scene, but like
No, they're
really being
so
intentional
critical.
of making that pairing and having the stylists know what to do
Right.
with those relationships,
Right.
relationships, and having the designers know the value of like finding a stylist that they can partner with, because
Yes.
it gives them that accessibility to potential clients or,
Absolutely.
or customers.
Because I've had clients that are say, because this is how we met.
Yeah.
I had somebody that liked my outfit, but before they could even entertain it, they were like, oh, let me run it through my stylist.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Okay, now we're
And then we got
talking.
on this, and then we got on this three-way, and I was like, okay, we gonna see, but we just hit it off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we took over
Love
the
that.
conversation, and I told her like, I have a hard time finding that space of like, I just want to design something that I like, right? But again, if we're thinking about this as a business, working with those stylists to say, what are you seeing your clients really are asking for?
Like I had a conversation. Vogue used to do this called Vogue Edit on LinkedIn, and it would be like the editors for Vogue, and they would just have like it was almost like a clubhouse conversation.
Yes.
And I would meet people, whoever was on the call, I would like ping them like, hey, I was on the call, let's connect. And I met this woman from, she was in Italy. She worked for Timberland, and we were just, I'm like, can we have a conversation?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we were just talking about like fashion, just in general in the industry. And one thing she said to me that was profound, she was just like, what gets emerging designers or brands out of emerging is information and data. The big companies have data that help them meet the needs of their customer. Whereas emerging designers, they're just designing for themselves.
That's it.
Without
We're just like,
information from their customer on what the customer wants. But okay, you may not have data in the sense of, electronic data or digital data, but you have source data from people like stylists that can give you insight of like what people are looking for.
It's so
and
important.
that helps inform how you can create a sustainable brand.
Absolutely.
And continue to meet the customers that you are actually trying to reach.
Yeah,
So I think
I almost don't want to give this sauce away. What we're doing, the pairing of the
Right,
designers.
I know, right?
But I can't be in here preaching.
Collaboration.
It's about accessibility.
Right.
We don't all do it well.
There's so many stylists out of Atlanta who are styling celebrities, and the fact that I don't even know where to go to even reach that stylist is a problem.
It's a problem.
Right.
And I get it. You've done the work, you know. I mean, I was looking for there's Ivy showroom, obviously, but I feel like we
Shout
should
out to
have more.
Ivy.
Shout out to Viscani. But I think there should be so many more kind of like showrooms where I can pull pieces from for my clients, you know, especially if we're doing, a photo shoot. I think Ivy Showroom, they started like kind of like a package where you could pull your pieces. They have a photographer, they have makeup. I thought that was genius, Viscani.
That was
But
great.
I mean, like, I would like to see more of that.
Well,
you
I
know?
guess we're gonna have to do it.
gonna
If not,
I mean,
let's see
We're gonna
who.
figure out something. Who knows?
Let's
It's 2026, you know.
The showrooms may be up.
Right.
Stay
And
tuned.
stay connected. So how can we stay connected with Allure by Reia?
Yes, so everything is Allure by Reia, ALLUREIA, on TikTok, Insta, all things. Yep, just Google me.
Yay.
Google
I like
me.
that.
I like
Google
that.
me.
Google her, and you're gonna see all the receipts.
Right.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Reia, for joining us on the Fashion Lounge podcast. Thank you to our beautiful
I want to
co-host.
come back. We have so much more to
We
talk
have
about.
so much more to cover. This is not enough time.
I need to come back.
Yes.
And your website, if they want to get some
Yes.
new off the line pieces.
Absolutely. So allurebyreia.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and thank you for joining the Fashion Lounge podcast. Ciao. Until next time.
Bye.